Hello, everybody. I'm kind of tired. Wait a minute. I work from 5 o'clock to 1 o'clock p.m. today, and it is 2 o'clock, and I'm tired because I had to take my kids to a rehearsal today at the church, and just sitting there through rehearsal, God began to speak. Y'all gotta forgive me because I'm tired. I'm ready to go home and go to sleep. But I still have to take them to Target to get something to eat. But, sitting there through rehearsal, I just started hearing the voice of God, just observing everything around me within the rehearsal, because it wasn't the children that was rehearsing at this moment, it was the adults. And God had just begun to speak. And what I heard, what God was speaking to me was the fact that the church is so indoctrinated that they are so stuck on a program that God can't move. God values you coming to church. I'm not putting that down. God welcomes it, invites it. But because of the program, it's like the presence of God is being missed in the church because of the indoctrination. And when I had to Google the word indoctrinated. And after I Googled it, it was saying the definition was something that is taught until it's remembered, until it does not have to be taught again. So it's like indoctrinated means something that was taught, meaning the way to do church was taught to people. And it's like just sitting in the church house, it's like it's so indoctrinated that the people are stuck on a program that they can't even experience the move of God. Because even though we're here doing practice and practicing for service, there should still be a worship moment, because God cannot move when there's a program. God is really not in the place when we going forth like we're gonna do it this way, we're gonna sing this amount of songs and we're gonna be done with practice. No, you should not have to practice the presence. There's no practice in the presence of God. God desires, the fullness, the holiness of who he is. But see, we so stuck in the program or the indoctrination of how church should be that we miss the presence of God. Like God said, you got to release. Church should not be, this step. That's not what it's about. It's not about the steps that you take to get, we done for the day. No, God expects even your worship, even in your practice. God expects even your worship, even in your singing, in everything that we do that says God. He expects us to show up and show out so he can show up and show out. But see, the church is so indoctrinated that, they're stuck on a program that they are missing the presence of God. Because let me tell you something, like, what I seen was, I just seen like, where is his presence throughout this worship meeting? Practice. What is it? Practice for... what is it called? Choir rehearsal. Excuse me. I'm tired. But like, there should be a worship experience through this thing. It's like, let's just do a couple of songs. Yeah, we got it and we gone. No. Choir rehearsal. Like, this is the main thing that moves the people. So many people come to church for the music. So God need to be in the mix of that rehearsal so he can get some glory out of this thing, because the choir is where the worship begins. The music is where the worship begins, even though worship should start at home. But most times people don't do that at home before they go to church. They simply just go to church with everything that they have in them. And if the worship is not right, I can promise you that the presence of God is not going to be right. We need God to show up in everything that we do, everything that we think, on all levels. And the only way to get the presence of God is to allow God to move the way that he wants to move. This was just a message that I just seen. I just seen this today. Like, literally, God spoke to me about this thing, because it was like, no worship. You know, I'm expecting a worship experience, even in choir rehearsal. Like, I expect everybody even to be falling out through rehearsal. Like, really, because you got to understand, when people are coming to church Sunday, like, they are coming to worship God, and this is the foundation. This is the beginning of the thing that got to be done before the word even come across. So we need this experience to be far more greater than when God show up, because we are trying to get God to show up. So if the worship ain't right, we're not really getting the presence of God. We're getting false. We not getting the holiness of God. We getting just the makeup of God, what it supposed to look like in our sight. But God said, I want to do a new thing in the earth. And the only way he can do that new thing is if we die to ourselves and allow him to have his way. Forget about what it's supposed to be. Forget about the program. Forget about the instructions on the paper. If God begins to move in the mix, we got to allow God to move in the midst of everything, when it comes to service, and when it comes to, you know, preaching and teaching the word, when it comes to worshiping God. Like, it has to be in everything. When it comes to praying to God, God has to be in the midst of everything. I just say, man, this indoctrinated way of doing church has to die, because if it does not die, there's going to be so many souls that are going to continue to be lost, because the real and true and living God is not coming forth in these church houses and in these buildings. Like, God wants to show himself strong and mighty in the earth. And if we're not presenting him strong and mighty in our worship, strong and mighty in our prayer life, strong and mighty in our reading and fasting and worshiping him, trust me, people are going to miss him because of you. People are going to miss God because of the program. So I just say, man, just die to self. Church is not, don't look at church as supposed to be a thing it was like when we were younger, or when we used to go. No, God is a spiritual being. God will move on all levels. When you think of all the disciples and everybody that was in the Bible, it's like God moved and did things in their life that we couldn't even imagine today. But it's because they allowed him. We have to allow God to do what he's gonna do. And if we do not allow God to do what he's gonna do, we're not gonna see God the way that we need to see God. We need to see God in everything that we do, in every move we make, every decision that we make, every choice, every experience. We need to see God. Jesus. So I just say, man, we got to stop living and doing church the way we know to do church. Let God move. It don't have to be the experience of what we used to know or what it's always been. Let me tell you something. When the presence of God come in, he gonna shake up the whole foundation. Nothing is gonna be like it was. Nothing is going to be like it was. He's going to shake up everything in that church house, everything in each individual who working, because God wants us to see him. And the only way people can see God is through us. So God have to pour his spirit out on us so others can see him. So we have to stop doing church the way we know to do church and allow God to move, allow his presence to move. This is WIP MEET. We're going to stop the indoctrinated way of doing church, and we're going to get in the presence of God. This is WIP MEET. I think I got a video coming up, man. I believe in my spirit that it's time to sit down and pray. It's time to sit down and pray. That's all my spirit is saying. It's time to sit down and pray. We've been playing. We've been doing everything we wanted to do. It's time to sit down.